Now, in Brazil, there's growing pressure on President Bolsonaro over what's been described as his chaotic response to the pandemic. South America's largest nation has seen 114,000 cases and almost 8,000 deaths, with rates still increasing. But despite this, and a health system under immense strain, the president continues to deny that there's a serious problem. Our correspondent Katy Watson reports from the east of Sao Paulo, the country's worst affected area.
Lives are precarious in Brazil's poor and violent favelas. But COVID-19 is a new kind of killer, weaving its way into these narrow streets. Aline lost her job as a cleaner. Now, both she and her husband rely on charity to bring up their 3 girls. Social distancing isn't an option here, and authorities aren't around to enforce any rules. They're angry with how their president is dealing with this crisis.
Bolsonaro is wrong. He tells people to go to work, then people die. And then he'll just say, another one died. Well, it's not my son. What he should say is, stay at home.
Jair Bolsonaro isn't dubbed the tropical Trump for nothing. Just like his American idol, he's been railing against lockdown. As the crisis here escalates, so too does denial. Yesterday, Mr. Bolsonaro said the worst was over. Then came a record jump in the number of deaths. With families in the Amazon burying their dead in mass graves and public health systems on the verge of collapse nationwide, many who voted for him feel they were fed a lie. State governors are ignoring the president, introducing quarantine and lockdown to protect the public. The man in charge of Brazil's wealthiest state has become Bolsonaro's biggest critic.
When you have 2 viruses to combat, the coronavirus and Bolsonaro virus, it's not time to discuss ideology, politics, campaigns, or individual positions. Wrong. This is the wrong way. The right way to save lives and to respect the science, to respect the medicine.
But in Sao Paulo's eastern suburbs, quarantine offers little opportunity. Poverty makes sure of that. The most vulnerable are waiting in line for government handouts, and in doing so, they're the most exposed.
Brazilians are confused. Do they listen to their local politicians saying stay at home, or to their president saying get back to work? Increasingly, rules are being bent here and ignored, and it couldn't come at a worse time for the country.
Even Rio's most famous landmark has been enlisted in the fight against coronavirus. If Christ the Redeemer can't persuade devout Jair Bolsonaro to finally don a mask, nobody can. Katy Watson, BBC News in Sao Paulo.
Coronavirus is having a devastating impact on African wildlife, according to experts. The tourism industry, worth billions of pounds, has collapsed and thousands of people have lost their jobs. And with fewer visitors and safari guides, there's been a surge in the number of animals being poached, and conservationists say that decades of progress are being undone. Our environment correspondent Claire Marshall has more details.
Humans leave a unique scent. This anti-poaching unit checks for trails. Filmed exclusively for the BBC, the rangers of the Lewa Conservancy in northern Kenya. They are a small team protecting 250,000 square miles. The pandemic has just made their job much harder.
Since this pandemic of COVID-19, the threat has gone high in terms of people wanting to do poaching.
Tourism has collapsed overnight. Many people have no money. There has been a dramatic surge in poaching for food. This is what the rangers have found just over the last few weeks.
Lewa is just a snapshot of what the rest of Africa is facing. We're hearing constantly from our partners in East, South and Central Africa.
Just when more rangers are needed, the pandemic has badly hit donations to the charities that support them.
This is definitely the biggest threat that we've seen to the conservation world. We've had the real pressure from the illegal wildlife trade, and that is ongoing.
These are the vast plains of Northwest Province, South Africa.
The calf is still alive so that we can rescue it and take it to the orphanage.
This organisation helps transport injured rhinos to safety. The calf is 2 months old. Her mother was found dead, her horn hacked off.
Yeah, bring the backside.
A real fear is this could become more common with no safari tourists or guides out and about.
These guys are our eyes and ears on the ground. They drive through the parks, they see wounded animals. I think it will be devastating to the parks and the reserves in South Africa if this situation continues.
They may look wild, but it costs a lot of money to keep these animals safe. The key question is when will tourists and their wallets be able to return? Claire Marshall, BBC News.